Disney characters inspired by celebrities. You'll be surprised to see who they are. Ariel, the Little Mermaid. The youngest of King Triton's daughters, Ariel, is 16 years old. Curious and in search of adventure, she is passionate about the human world. She asks the sea witch Ursula to give her legs, the latter accepts in exchange for her voice. Inspired by Alyssa Milano. She was a hugely popular child star at the time of the release of the Disney film in 1989. Alyssa Milano played the young Samantha Micelli in the series, Who's the Boss? According to the creators, at the time, she represented the archetype of the teenager. Chip and Dale. These two little chipmunks first appear as disruptive neighbors to Donald Duck, living in the tree in his backyard. Due to their growing popularity, the series, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, was released in 1989, where the two run a detective agency. Inspired by Tom Selleck and Indiana Jones. It is easy to see the illustrator's inspirations for Chip and Dale was Tom Selleck in Magnum, and Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones. From the floral shirt to the hat, it seems evident that these two 80s icons inspired the new take on the chipmunks. Dr. Facilier, the Princess and the Frog. Dr. Facilier is a witch doctor in New Orleans who can communicate with the world of the dead. His physique features all the hallmarks of the classic villain, tall, slim, with skeletal fingers. He also looks a lot like Jafar from Aladdin. Inspired by Prince and Michael Jackson. We can easily recognize the fine features and the toothy grin of the singer Prince, as well as his inimitable dress style. As for his way of walking, one can't help but think Michael Jackson inspired it. Cruella, 101 Dalmatians. Cruella Devil, Cruella Devil. Cruella, from the movie, 101 Dalmatians, might have terrorized the whole town. However, she's still classy and one of Disney's best-dressed villains. Inspired by Tallulah Bankhead. This actress from the 1940s and 1950s was the inspiration for the character Cruella. She is best known for her role in Alfred Hitchcock's film, Lifeboat, in which she played fashion journalist Connie Porter. Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty. But, before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall spike her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die, said Maleficent as she cast a spell on Princess Aurora as revenge for not being invited to the princess's christening. The character of Maleficent is based on the villain in Little Briar Rose, by the Grimm brothers, which was a retelling of the original, Sleeping Beauty, story by Charles Perrault. Inspired by Eleanor Audley. This actress was born in 1905 and died in 1991. And it is she who lent not only her features but also was the voice behind the animated character. Aurora, Sleeping Beauty. Daughter of King Stephen and Queen Leah. Princess Aurora is a sweet, shy, and naive girl. She is the archetype of the Disney princess. She is the archetype of the Disney princess. Even though she is not blonde. Audrey Hepburn inspired designers with her shyness, sweetness, and slim figure. Pocahontas. The character of Pocahontas is inspired by the real character of the same name. A Native American from the Confederacy of Powhatan tribes and who then ruled almost all the tribes of the Seneca region. In the Disney film, she is passionate about nature and animals, with which she manages to communicate. She is the intermediary between her people and the Europeans who disembarked to conquer their lands. Inspired by Irene Bedard. This American actress was the inspiration for the illustrators drawing Pocahontas. And she also lent her voice to the character. The similarities between the two certainly are striking. Ursula, the Little Mermaid. Inspired by the sea witch from Andersen's tale, The Little Mermaid. Ursula is the sister of King Triton, who was banished from Atlantica. So, in fact, the evil woman, Octopus, is actually Ariel's aunt. Ursula demands that her niece give up her voice in exchange for a magical potion that will give Ariel legs. Inspired by Divine. Divine, real name Glenn Milstead, 1945–1988, was a singer, drag queen, and actor. Divine was particularly well known in the underground cinema world. The shape of Divine's body and the performer's dance moves were the inspiration used by the illustrators when creating Ursula's physique. Captain Hook, Peter Pan. This Disney character comes from the novel, Peter Pan, by J.M. Barrie. He is the perfect embodiment of evil. But in Disney's version, this pirate boss is depicted with wacky and comical features. Inspired by Hans Conried. The American actor Hans Conried, 1917 to 1982, lent much more than his features and those of his long mustache to the character of Captain Hook. Conried also gave life to the character of Captain Hook in the animated film with his voice. Peter Pan. The Disney version of Peter Pan is much more watered down than that of J.M. Barrie's novel. The character would later be used to describe what is known as Peter Pan syndrome, portraying an adult who stubbornly refuses to grow up. Inspired by Bobby Driscoll. Bobby Driscoll was one of Disney's first child stars, the first under contract with the firm. The features of his face were used to create the character, but the young boy also lent his voice to the character. When he entered his teens, Disney broke the contract with Bobby Driscoll, who then experienced a slow but consistent descent in his life and his career. The Mad Hatter, Alice in Wonderland. 2 novels by Carol Lewis inspired this Disney film, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and Through the Looking Glass. The Mad Hatter was most likely a bit crazy due to mercury poisoning, which was a common issue for those producing felt hats during the period when the books were written. Downright wacky and unstable, he enjoys having tea and celebrating his non-birthday with his friend, the White Rabbit. Inspired by Edwin. This American actor and composer had a 65-year career in music hall to his credit. His hilarious facial expressions inspired the illustrators at Disney to model the character after the actor that lent his voice to the Mad Hatter. Edwin also played the role of the hilarious Uncle Albert in Mary Poppins. Tinker Bell. Peter Pan. Tinker Bell is Peter Pan's constant companion, and only he can understand her in the film. Disney's 1954 interpretation of this fairy for the film was so successful that Tinker Bell became one of Disney's most important branding icons alongside Mickey Mouse, Margaret Kerry and Marilyn Monroe. Many believe that Marilyn Monroe was the inspiration for the animated version of Tinker Bell. While it is difficult to prove just who the inspiration was, Mark Davis, the Disney animator who drew Tinker Bell, claimed his reference was actress Margaret Kerry. Alice in Wonderland. Alice pays little attention to her history lesson, drifts off in a daydream, and sees a white rabbit run off in a hurry, worried about being late. She then decides to follow him and finds herself in Wonderland, where she will experience a series of adventures. Catherine Beaumont. This English actress was born in 1938, and she lent her voice and features to the young Alice thanks to rotoscoping, a technique for creating animated sequences by drawing frame by frame over motion picture footage. Victor Van Dort. The Corpse Bride. The character of Victor Van Dort from Tim Burton's The Corpse Bride is largely inspired by a famous actor. Inspired by Johnny Depp. Victor Van Dort looks very similar to Ichabod Crane, Depp's character in Sleepy Hollow, by Tim Burton. Wall-E. In the distant future, this small robot is left on an uninhabitable Earth to clean up the rubbish-filled planet that the humans damaged. However, when the starship Axiom sends a probe with a robot named Eve aboard, Wall-E falls in love. Inspired by Charlie Chaplin. To animate this character, who does not have a single line of dialogue throughout the first part of the film, the animators had to draw inspiration from silent films. Naturally, therefore, Charlie Chaplin comes to mind. Esmeralda, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. She was inspired by the character of the same name from Victor Hugo's book, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This young 16-year-old gypsy girl with a fierce character dances in the streets of Paris. With her extraordinary beauty and charming ways, she could be called a femme fatale. Demi Moore. For this role, the creators needed a woman with a strong character and a strong power of attraction. We can see the features of the brunette actress with green eyes and her nonconformist attitude reflected in Esmeralda. Scat Cat. The Aristocats. Scat Cat appears in The Aristocats. He leads the jazz fanatic troupe. He is the friend of one of the main characters, the cat Thomas O'Malley. Inspired by Louis Armstrong. Scat Cat features are taken from the round head of jazz trumpeter Louis Armstrong. The latter also supposed to lend his voice to the character, but he withdrew at the last moment. Jasmine. Aladdin. This character was initially inspired by Princess Badroulbadour from the tale, Aladdin and the Marvelous Lamp, from 1001 Nights. Independent and courageous, she follows her heart and her instincts. Inspired by Jennifer Connelly. This actress's dark hair and piercing green gaze are easily recognized in Jasmine's facial features. When the Disney film was released in 1992, the actress was hugely popular. Aladdin. He, too, is inspired by the tales of 1001 Nights. Son of a tailor named Mustafa, Aladdin, Prince of Thieves, goes to the center of the earth to look for a magic lamp, which contains a genie. The latter will carry out 3 of his wishes. Tom Cruise. It is Tom Cruise, who was a major heartthrob at the time, who influenced the physique of Aladdin. For the baggy pants, the designers were inspired by the dress style of rapper MC Hammer. Genie. Aladdin. Genie loves visual gags and jokes. It is he that helps Aladdin to conquer Jasmine's heart and get rid of the evil Jafar. Robin Williams. Robin Williams provided the voice and hilarious jokes that Genie bestowed upon us in the film. We can see that the illustrators also used some of Williams' facial features and expressions when drawing the character. It is said that Robin Williams got so caught up in playing the character that one day he improvised for more than 16 hours.
Well, that's all, folks.
That's my line.
Step aside, babe. Let a star do this. That's all!
That's all, folks!